Hi guys, in this video we'll discuss how to paint a hand. I won't talk a lot about the anatomy and drawing part because, to be honest, I'm not proficient in that. Some bloggers love it and know much more about it. I'll link a few videos in the comment section. While today we'll be focusing on paint. The painting process is complicated because you need to focus on a lot of things at the same time. You need to remember about values, keep the anatomy structure, and choose beautiful hues. If you're a beginner, I recommend training the things separately. Start from learning how to draw a hand. Study anatomy using a graphite pencil. Learn how to render with pencils. When you will feel that you know something, you can pick up paints. And there, you can start from monochrome using only two colors, any dark one and white. It will help you to train your eyes, and then it will be easier to play with all paints that you have. Sadly, if your anatomy or value structure is not great, the painting will look bad even if you use the most beautiful palette. I had to mention that. My approach is to simplify everything and move gradually. At first, I look at the hand and squint my eyes to see big areas. Here is an example of it. I try to think about the difference in value and hue. Usually, I split the painting into 4 areas: light, middle, dark, and shadow. You can see how I simplified the reference on both paintings. In my other videos, I show how I mix skin tones. I usually premix 3 to 4 colors that I'll be using as a base. The lightest color I mix out of white, yellow, and red. For light and middle colors, I mix white, burnt umber, red, and yellow. And for the dark ones, the same colors but without white. In the process of work, I always play with these base colors by adding different paint to them. For example, look at the wrist. It has more blue in it because of the veins, while the fingers are red. The same with our main painting. When big areas are in place, it's time for, let's call it, middle-sized areas. Still not details, but closer to them. The first thing that you need to remember is that fingers are flattened cylinders. And please don't pay too much attention to my English and my knowledge of geometry, because I'm not good at both of the things. Okay, flattened cylinders that are rounded at the ends. And all that you need to do is to darken the sides of it. The tip of the fingers usually has the most red. The next step is to add round parts of bones. If we will simplify them, they will look like ovals. On some hands, you can see the sides of them easier, while on others, you can only slightly see the change. Usually they also have more red color in them. Let's not forget about the nails. In a lot of cases, they have a slightly different color. I tend to cool them a bit. In real life, depending on how cold it is, my nails can look even violet. Nails are bumped into the skin, so the area around them is usually darker. The beginning and the end of the nail are whiter. It's a very simplified version. You can see that in the painting I've already added skin folds. It's not hard to paint them. You just alternate darker and lighter parts to create a feeling of skin going up and down. We also need to simplify the palm part of the hand. It's like a flattened rectangle with rounded edges, so we need some darkening at the sides of it. There are round bones at the base of every finger. Check if the color changed there. Sometimes it has more red, sometimes more yellow. Anyway, it's a bit different from the main tint of the skin. And we shouldn't forget that there are tendons going from each finger. Depending on the model, you can clearly see them, or see only a tiny bit of them. And there are veins on top of all of this. I like to emphasize them. Depending on the main color of the skin, you can add more blue or green for the cooler effect. You can see that there is a core line that represents the line between the light and the dark, and there is also reflected light. Look for those, because adding them to the painting instantly makes it look more voluminous. When you've finally added all of these things, it's finally time for the most pleasing part of the process: details. I add a lot of transitional colors between those that we already have and blend them. And I blend a lot, because I love it. I've mentioned briefly a lot of things in this video. Of course, it's not even a half of what I should have talked about. It's just a beginning. If you like this video, we can make it a series. Because I love hands, I love painting them and talk about them. So don't forget to write what you think about this idea. Or just give this video a like, and it will be more than enough. Thank you for that. In the end, I add the shadow from the hand, not the bad thing that you can do now. I would recommend adding such dark contrast spots a few steps earlier so you can change areas around the shadow easier. And here is the result. I hope that this video was useful. Don't forget to share your thoughts and comments. Tutorials, real-time process, references, and more you can find on my Patreon. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. See you soon!